Women on Wealth is proudly sponsored by First for Women, celebrating leading women.
She is one of the very few women who holds the purse strings to an entire country. This is Women on Wealth, and I'm Nozipho Mbandra. Tonight we profile Botswana's Reserve Bank Governor, Linah Mohohlo. Alexander Forbes Rosemary Stephenson weighs in on the idea of emotional investing. And in Power Redefined, we bring you the woman taking on banking and taking it to a whole new level on the African continent. That's Barclay's Africa Group Chief Executive Officer, Maria Ramos. Linah Mohohlo has been at the helm of Botswana's Reserve Bank for the last 15 years, leading the way for women to take up high-powered banking jobs. She sat down with WOW producer Paula Gilbert to discuss how she shattered the banking industry's glass ceiling.
If you enter a field that doesn't work for you as a woman, it shouldn't be because you're a woman. It's because it's the talent that is abundant in any individual. It's not meant to be responsive to every field. So you work hard, somebody will be watching, and even if it's a male-dominated field, such as the top of central banking or the top of any banking, because it has to do with money, I think every human being can unleash his or her own potential to the extent possible, and they will be recognized. Because if not, they will be such an unfortunate waste of human capital.
You've been Reserve Bank Governor since 1999. So what have you observed over the years in terms of changing opportunities for women in the banking space?
As a matter of fact, even before I rose to the top of the Bank of Botswana, there were many women, not just in the central bank, in middle management. So rising, we could actually only ascribe it to the very top of institutions, because even as we speak, the institutions over which the central bank presides in Botswana and in many jurisdictions, many countries, have lots and lots of capable women, mainly in middle management. And it goes without saying that there will be many more below middle management. So we have the opportunity as women because we can rise into the top from that middle management forum.
Is your governing style different because you're a woman?
Not necessarily. There are certain attributes of a woman, of course, that we know exist, and even if you were to bring the most capable men to sit next to a woman, there will be certain things that men would not be able to see. For instance, we are known to pay attention to detail. I don't think any man needs to be feel insulted if they are told that they don't pay attention to detail, because you can see that in a woman when they are raising a family. Which was the case with me as well. I just raised a family like any other woman. And I don't consider a woman who's raising a family solely without going to the office to be doing a job that should not be counted. Because there are attributes there that you can identify, which will give you the wherewithal about the leadership potential of a woman. So I just mentioned leadership potential. That's the family. I don't understand why women should be considered to be occupying any other role in a homestead other than leadership.
What advice do you have for younger women in terms of wealth creation?
You can engage in wealth creation in a small way until you do it in somewhat of a bigger way where you are given the responsibility. This is a penny that belongs to the nation. You have to make it a pound. So women can do it because women are able to provide for their families and enable their children and other members of their families to have 3 meals a day, even when they're unemployed. So that's wealth creation in my small definition of wealth creation.
Are women being included enough in Africa's agenda?
No, that is a big no. They are not included enough. But should we just fold our arms and sit back and say we are not included? By the way, who is not including you? You include yourself. Women must take up the baton and know that they can be able to open the avenues that hitherto they believed belong to some other species in the world. So I don't believe that women should just sit back. There are structures that tend to impede women's progress. For instance, accessing finance. What should we do by that? We have to make sure that we get together as women and try and talk about these issues, turn talk into action, approach these financial entities, be they banks or just little entities that are able to advance finance, and demonstrate to them that we have a seriousness of purpose by showing them what we have been able to collect ourselves, because we can put together little money, medium money, and big money, saying this is what we have, this is what we want. So I just believe that women, not only have they demonstrated that they can do it by being able to cater for their families in difficult times, they are continuing to do it now. I think examples are here in South Africa with respect to an organization that's called Withhold. They started from nothing. They are forced to reckon with as we speak. So exclusion, 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 you'll wake up one morning and find that you need to ask how women were able to access finance in the first place, even when a bridge had to be constructed by women themselves.
Women are often accused of emotional investing. Earlier, I sat down with Rosemary Stevenson from Alexandra Forbes to find out why she doesn't believe that this is necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, I think as women we multitask quite easily, and obviously emotions affect our behavior. It's all dependent on our belief system. So what happens is, markets will go up and down, that happens. Our emotions go up and down with the markets, but we can affect our emotions. We can manage our emotions and balance them to make sure that we don't overlook objective data if we get too emotional.
So why would emotional investing be a good thing overall?
Emotional investing is a good thing because we're driven by emotions, and what we need to understand that everything we do in life is based on how we feel about things and how we feel about money. And with investing, we're driven by fear and greed. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when the markets are up and we're feeling euphoric and things become too expensive, what happens? Our greed jumps out and we want to buy more. And in fact, we should be fearful when others are greedy. And then when the markets go down and we're losing 30-40%, we become fearful. And it's not about time, it's also just about patience. We're not patient. So then we get so fearful that we become panic-stricken that we sell. So what we've actually done is we've invested money, and just over a period of a year or two, we've lost money based on our emotions that we weren't able to balance.
So would you then be suggesting that women would be better investors because we're more in tune with our emotions?
Yes, women by and large, women and men complement each other very well, in that men are more driven by greed because of the testosterone, women are more driven by fear. So therefore, sometimes women, they lack maybe the confidence of men, so they tend to sit in a lot of cash. Now, there's nothing wrong with cash, but over the long period of time, inflation, takes care of cash. So we actually need to take on more risk. Whereas men, because they're a bit more greedy, they will get stuck in the hole, and because they're driven more by greed, because the first rule for men is they like to beat the other guy. The second rule for men is they like to tell the other guy, I've beaten you.
Yeah.
So when you get into a hole, women, instead of digging themselves further, they tend to jump out, because women don't like to lose money. First rule for women is we don't lose money. So therefore, we hope that things will always improve. So we tend to be too cautious. So we actually complement each other, men and women, when it comes to investing.
So if you're a woman and you want to make sure that you're well-rounded in terms of your investment portfolio, which emotions should you then be working on and making sure that you develop them and you fine-tune them so that they work for your investment strategy?
I think patience. Patience is very important because of the lack of patience and the overriding fear or greed, we tend to make the wrong decisions. So with that comes the decision to say go for asset allocation, so that will prevent us from being too greedy, because all investments are cyclical. So as one goes up, the other goes down. So it's good to be diversified. So instead of putting all your eggs into one basket, we actually diversify. So therefore we do not have that temptation of wanting to put 100% into one asset class when it's performing.
And what would you advise then for a first-time investor, a woman in particular, who wants to perhaps play it safe, but wants to see some sort of return in the medium to long term?
Okay, I'd say for a first-time investor, obviously you would only have a little bit of money, so you don't want to time the market. It's actually not about performance. Performance is there, but what's important is achieving your objective. So we need to have some goals. So you have a mid-investment objective, and then obviously retirement would be a long-term objective. So if it's a first-time investor, you would be saving maybe for some kind of education, childcare, whatever. So you would go into some kind of balanced portfolio with a bit of asset allocation, and then just invest what you can every month. And then just stay in the market and don't let your emotions make you jump out of the market because you're getting fearful.
Would you advise the same to a man who is making his foray into investing?
Well, generally, a man should do the same thing because we all need to meet our objectives. So men are also driven by emotions. It's just that they may be more overconfident, and overconfidence and fear actually breed the same end result, which is not very good. So yes, I must probably say you should do the same.
Every week we bring you a woman who is flexing her power muscles on the global stage. Let's take a look at Barclay's Africa Group CEO, Maria Ramos. Ranked as the 93rd most powerful woman in the world, Maria Ramos is the chief executive at Barclays Africa Group. With the responsibility of executing the group's Africa strategy across 13 African operations, she is easily one of the most powerful bankers on the continent. Ramos is not new to the C-suite, having served as the group chief executive at Transnet, the state-owned freight transport and logistics service provider of South Africa, for 5 years. This was after successfully serving as Director General of the National Treasury for 7 years. An accomplished academic who has taught at various institutions, Ramos holds multiple degrees and is also a recipient of 2 honorary doctorates. Her contribution across industries has been recognized through numerous awards. She was named CNBC Africa's Woman Leader of the Year in 2011, amongst others. That's all from Women on Wealth this week. Be sure to pick up a copy of this Sunday's City Press to find out about another winning woman, the founder and managing director of 274 Investment Managers, Fatima Vadwa. Remember that we do like talking to you on Twitter, so keep following me at Nozipombandra, and don't forget that our hashtag is Wow410. We would like to know who is redefining the concept of power in your world. Until next time, stay empowered.